Welcome to CPI University. The 3G cellular network is slowly being phased out and replaced by 4G technology. With that in mind, we are upgrading the radios on our 3G A5Ks so that they are viable for years to come. In this module, we'll review the 4G A5K field upgrade procedure. Step 1. Testing the 4G signal. Before opening the vending machine, it's good to test the 4G signal in your area. You can do this by downloading an app onto your cell phone. Verizon recommends using the Ookla app if you're using an iPhone, and the LTE Discovery app if you're using an Android phone. We'll take a look at the Ookla app first. Search in the Apple Store for the Ookla app, spelled O-O-K-L-A. It should look like this. Once you've downloaded the app, open it and press the large Go button on the center of your screen. The app will then test the strength of both 4G and 3G signals. Once the scan is complete, tap the Results button on the bottom of the screen. Then, tap the most recent scan to view the details. If you have connection, proceed to the install process. If you do not, contact Swipe for further instructions. If you're using an Android phone, you'll want to search for the LTE Discovery app. It should look like this. Once you've downloaded the app, open it and press the large Start button on your screen. Once the scan is complete, view the results on the Signals tab at the top of your screen. If you have connection, proceed to the install process. If you do not, contact Swipe for further instructions. Step 2. Check the firmware. If you have the appropriate 4G signal, next we'll need to check what firmware the A5K is currently running. To do this, press the Cancel button on the bezel 5 times. The bezel will cycle through a few diagnostic and informational screens. You will be looking for the Firmware Rev screen. The firmware should be at or above 05.01.XX, where XX can be any number. This A5K is up to date, so we can move forward with the installation. If the software on your A5K is not up to date, you'll need to update before continuing. Contact Swipe to see if they can push an update to the device, but note that downloading an update could take up to an hour, depending on signal strength. Alternatively, you can return the A5K to a service center. You'll also want to check the model and serial number on the device. If the ADV model and serial number is not attached to the machine asset, follow your procedure to clear the asset info and install the appropriate ADV model and serial number to the machine asset. Once you've confirmed that you have 4G signal, the software is up to date, and the model and serial number is appropriately attached to the asset, you're ready to remove power to the machine by unplugging, switching off, or removing the fuse. Step 3. Detach the A5K and remove the antenna. Detach the A5K and begin unscrewing the antenna. Once the antenna is unscrewed from the A5K, remove the antenna from the top of the device. Once the antenna is unscrewed from the A5K, measure the existing antenna hole and use a step bit to confirm that the hole is 5/8 in diameter. If it is not, attach the step bit to a cordless drill and widen the hole to 5/8. When the hole has been enlarged, feed the 4G antenna cable through the top of the vending machine. Please note that the antenna must sit flush on the top of the vending machine. If the antenna cannot rest flat on the top of the vending machine, it can create a path for water to enter the machine. If the original antenna hole cannot be used safely, create a second hole where the antenna can rest in a position that covers both holes, or follow your company's standard procedure to patch the existing hole. Once the antenna is inserted, attach immediately with the washer and nut, which can be found in the small component bag. The connector component bag contains a nut, a washer, the Fokker clip, and the Fokker connector body. We'll discuss the Fokker components in the next section. Thread the antenna cable through the washer, then follow with the nut. Then secure to the antenna post. Step 4. Assembling the FACRA connector. Before we connect the antenna to the A5K, we'll need to attach the 4G's FACRA connector. The FACRA connector is a blue connector that fits on the end of the antenna and connects to the A5K. The FACRA connector needs to be assembled on site because the washer and nut will not fit over the assembled FACRA connector. Once the nut and washer are connected, insert the antenna cable into the FACRA body. If you're unsure which end to insert the cable into, insert in the direction of the blue arrow. Press firmly to fully connect the antenna. Once the body is connected, you'll lock into place with the FACRA clip. Insert the 2 tabs of the clip into the opening in the FACRA body, then press down to secure. If for any reason you should need to remove the FACRA body, locate these 2 tabs where the clip meets the body. Use a small pointed instrument, such as tweezers or a small screwdriver, to dislodge the clip, then remove with your fingers. Step 5. Grounding yourself and the machine. For this next step, you'll need to ensure that you are properly grounded with an anti-static wrist strap. Tightly secure the strap around your wrist, making sure the metal connects fully with your skin. Please note that if the radio is damaged due to static, it cannot be replaced under warranty. To ground yourself to the machine, connect the strap's alligator clip to any unpainted surface on the machine's door. Now that you are grounded to the door, you will need to ensure that the door itself is grounded. To check if the door is grounded, use a multimeter or continuity tester to confirm. Turn the dial on your multimeter to the ohms indicator. This will measure the amount of resistance to electric current. When properly grounded, the reading should not exceed 5 ohms. You will need to press the tips of the multimeter test leads to an unpainted surface on the vending machine's door and to the grounding prong of the vending machine's power plug. Either lead can be used on either surface, but you will need to connect both leads at the same time to get a measurement. In this example, the ohms are reading at 0.07. This machine is appropriately grounded. Once you are done testing the ground, return the plug to its socket. Step 6. Swapping the radios. Once you are properly grounded, remove the 2 plastic tabs on the A5K by opening the access panel and pressing the tabs until they snap off. Next, open the access panel on the A5K by pressing the indent on the right side of the device and lifting towards you. To remove the radio, pull back on this yellow tab, then lift up by the antenna port. Once the radio is free, pull towards you to remove and set aside. Next, we'll install the 4G radio. It is important to only touch the radio by the blue antenna port. Touching any other part of the radio could potentially damage the device. While holding the radio by the blue port, insert the 2 gold connectors into the housing at an approximately 30-degree angle. Then, pull the yellow tab, lower the radio, and lock into place. Also ensure that the board is seated below the left yellow locking clip, located next to the yellow FACRA connector. Close the access panel when complete. Next, we'll install the SIM card. The SIM card ships with the radio and is embedded in a credit card-sized piece of plastic. Pop the SIM card from the plastic, then flip it over so the trimmed corner is facing in this direction. Then insert into the bay located between the access panel and the SD card slot. Press in until you hear the click to fully seat. Step 7. Reattach the A5K. Connect the blue FACRA connector to the blue 4G antenna port. Press gently until you hear the click. You'll also want to check that the SIM card has not become unseated during the installation process. The SIM card is spring-loaded. Pressing the SIM card will eject, and simply pressing the SIM card back in will fully seat. Reattach the A5K to the vending machine, being careful to mount in a location that will not impede the machine's operation. Then, restore power to the vending machine. Step 8. Confirming connection. While the machine is powering up, watch the bezel screen. Moving forward, CPI will be transitioning to the RSRP and RSRQ measurements to validate the 4G connection. It is recommended that users install the 4G telemeters in locations that have RSRP measurements between 0 and -100 dBm and RSRQ measurements between 0 and -20 dBm. Any location having RSRP values beyond -100 dBm and RSRQ values beyond -20 dBm may experience connectivity issues. Note that a second antenna can be purchased from CPI, which may improve a poor connection, but keep in mind that a second antenna may improve a poor signal but will likely not have any effect on units that have no signal. If your installation requires a second antenna, power down the machine, then locate an appropriate antenna mounting position at least 18 inches away from the primary antenna. Mounting a second antenna within an 18-inch radius of the primary antenna can create interference and result in a poor signal. Once you've identified the mounting location, use the step bit to drill a second 5/8 hole in the top of the vending machine. Then route the second antenna cable to the A5K, connecting to the secondary yellow 4G antenna connector. Once the antennas are connected, the connection process to complete setup will take roughly 15 minutes to complete. The L1, L2, and L3 lights will indicate when the process is complete. As the connection progresses, L1 will flash, then the L1 will go solid. The L2 will be off, and the L3 will flash. When the process is complete, L1 and L2 will be solid, and L3 will flash. This concludes the 4G A5K field upgrade training. For more help and support, visit cranepi.com/support.